So I want to start by welcoming everyone and acknowledging that we are on the traditional homelands of the Gayogo, the Cayuga Nation, one of the nations of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. And I'm really pleased to welcome all of you here for the closing reception of Harlem Noire. And we're here with our curator, who is Dr. Dyese Matthews. When she opened the exhibition, she was a PhD candidate. And this exhibition is based on her dissertation research, which I had the privilege of advising her in addition to my role here in the collection. It's an amazing dissertation. It will be a book someday. Undoubtedly, it's already a book, but you'll be able to read it, I'm sure, in many forms in the years to come. She's now an assistant professor on the tenure track at Parsons, so really proud of her, not only for completing her PhD and now Dr. Matthews, but she's now a professor, and so she's going to be extending the work that she does. So we're really honored to have her come all the way back from New York City to be here, and we're really excited that her research participants, who are really the foundation for this exhibition, are here today to answer some questions and chat with all of you as well. We're going to start with the curator-led tour, and so I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Matthews to give you that tour. And before doing so, I just want to acknowledge that the funding for this exhibition came from the Charlotte Drusick Fellowship, as well as the Costume Society of America's Stella Blum Graduate Research Grant, and the Department of Human-Centered Design. So really grateful for all of those entities for making this possible, but most importantly to the research participants who are, again, the foundation of this exhibition, and Dr. Matthews for all of her hard work and dedication that made this possible. So thank you.
Hi everyone, welcome. Echoing what Dr. Green was sharing, this project is not possible without my research participants, some of which who are here today, Ms. Lana Turner and Ms. Cassandra Bromfield. And I'm so grateful for their just being in this world, and more importantly, their contributions to this project. So with that, we'll get started with a bit of the curator-led tour. And since we're all here in this space, I think it's a great idea to start here. I'll start off a bit about the project. So the title of the exhibition is Harlem Noire, Fashion, Movement, Moment, and Memory. Harlem being the space in Uptown Manhattan, historically a Black neighborhood, and Noire meaning Black and French. So again, we're looking at Black spaces in Harlem, and this idea of fashion being a medium and an outlet and an opportunity for our bodies to really move through space, right? And to create moments that we often recall in our memories. So that's the gist of the project. So the dissertation took a lot of effort and work. I spent about 2 years in Harlem, back and forth. There was a moment where I was there long term for about a semester, and I would travel back and forth from Ithaca to New York to do ethnographic research, right? So I would spend time with these wonderful ladies at their homes. We went to events together. And then I also did wardrobe interviews with them, some of which you'll see on this video playing here on a loop. And a wardrobe interview is when I go into their homes and we explore their wardrobes in conversation about the garments within them and what the garments mean to them, why they purchase them, and how they allow them to really negotiate their identities as they're moving through spaces. So the culmination of the dissertation work really is this exhibition, right? It's a form of public curatorial scholarship where we can bring the work kind of a little bit outside of academia and more into the public realm and make it more accessible, and also kind of make it more tangible in a sense. So I'll start with this first case here, and we'll see across the cases, again, we're really looking at this theme of Black women's fashion, thinking about Harlem and the idea of movement, moments, and memories. So this first case, all of the garments made here are created by Cassandra Bromfield, who's in the audience today. And you can see this large image in the background. Now, this woman is Anna Murray Douglas, who was the first wife of Frederick Douglass. History tells us that Anna Murray was illiterate as compared to her husband, who we know is a well-known orator and writer. So unfortunately, we don't know much about her history. But what we do know is she was born free, and we know a little bit about her life with Frederick Douglass, and specifically we know that on their wedding day she wore a plum silk dress. So there is a literary society based out of Harlem that Ms. Turner is the leader and founder of to this day, and they decided to highlight Anna Murray's story in this really elaborate event that I was lucky enough to be a part of and to be in attendance at. And the event was really built around this material gown that we see here, this purple gown. So it's a remaking of Anna Murray's wedding dress. And again, it's made by Miss Cassandra Bromfield. And the idea with this dress is really to capture Anna Murray's essence, her importance, right? Arguably, there is no Frederick Douglass without Anna Murray, as again, she was born free and she used the money that she made as a domestic worker to pay for Frederick's escape from slavery from Baltimore to New York. So if we think about materiality and memory, right, we can really see this dress as just one example of how we can interpret fashion, and Black women's fashion specifically, as a medium in which we can really imagine, you know, what it means to have these memories that are also material in nature. There are a number of other garments here made by Ms. Bromfield. You'll notice a theme of patchwork, which is her signature, and you can see it in her beautiful outfit today as well. But yes, again, just this idea, this through line of memory and fashion being kind of intertwined, specifically from the lens of Black womanhood. If we move a little bit further down the case, again, this video that's playing here are clips from the wardrobe interviews that I did with the women. So I encourage you to just, you know, take a look and a listen whenever you get a chance, although it's coming down pretty soon. But this video is also available online, and I can share that. But again, just this idea of, in conversation with the women, I'm able to talk with them about the memories that they have, and they're recalling these memories about all of these fashions and the moments that they've had throughout Harlem. This cute, adorable singer machine is Miss Bromfield's very first machine, and she was gracious enough to loan it to us for the exhibit. And this is just a symbol of her dedication and history with making, and making as a form of memory work. A little bit further down, we have more garments from the women. The first gown is Lana Turner's, and she acquired it from the Jeffrey Holder estate. And we can see this case is very colorful in nature, right? There's a lot of pattern and texture going on. And the background image is of Nicole Moore, who is another research participant who will be joining us today. But this case really is, again, about moments of presence for the women, right? They're declaring themselves through pattern, through color, through movement. Specifically hanging here, kind of in on the side of the case, we see this t-shirt that reads Black Harlem Lives. And that's a movement started by Nicole, again, the woman pictured here in the case. Nicole started Black Harlem Lives as a rebuttal to a New York Times article that was written. It was an op-ed that declared Black Harlem dead. And she said when she read that article, she wanted to show that that wasn't true, that Black Harlem was very much still alive. So she started this online campaign called Black Harlem Lives. And then she thereafter created these t-shirts, which again are another material memory that we're using on our bodies as we move into space, to really reclaim Harlem as one of those Black spaces, and then specifically through fashion on the body. Moving on to the next case, right behind us here, we have a few more looks. What's really, really interesting about this case is there is at least one item from all 6 of the women that I worked with. So this case kind of carries this theme of color and pattern from the case right before it, really putting an emphasis on color and pattern being a way that the women are fashioning themselves in the name of declaration and exploration of their identities. We have a Norma Kamali jumpsuit, but that's owned by Diane Smith, who is another research participant. We have a vintage Captain, owned by Nicole Moore. We have this jumpsuit by Douglas Says, who is a Black designer based out of Harlem. We also have an array of sneakers. A lot of the women during their interviews shared that, sneakers are a way for them to really, really express their creativity and, their prideness in their Black style, specifically while moving through Harlem. So we thought it was really important to include that here in the show. We also have some smaller trinkets here on the tabletop. This really cool clutch bag that reads Harlem. That is from the boutique, The Brownstone, which I'll speak a little bit more about in a case forthcoming. We have these cool bangles, these really cool fluted towel socks that I love personally. And again, just this idea of eclectic style being a way of really claiming space as Black women throughout the world, and specifically throughout Harlem. The last two pieces here, again, speak to pattern, texture, and color. The first one is owned by Cassandra Bromfield. This is her hanging in her image hanging in the background here with the same garment on. And what's really interesting is this motif in the center front is of a Black woman, and we can see it's really detailed with beads and other applique. And then next to it, we have a gown owned by Lana Turner, one of her vintage pieces as well. So again, this case just really speaks to color, pattern, and just this idea of recollecting memories through the way that we fashion ourselves and through the world, applied individually by hand. And we see, it may be hard to tell, but if you look close enough, the bustier or the corset of the gown is actually upside down, and as compared to how it would normally be worn on the body. And that was important to Diane Smith because for her, this dress really represents a lot, right? It represents Black womanhood, which in itself goes against hegemonic white supremacist values that lead our society, right? So this idea of wearing it another way allows us to disrupt that narrative. It also represents Blackness, right? We can see these different kinds of African fabrics that are used in the train of the garment that are beautifully draped here to represent Black identity as well. And I thought what was really, really significant about this gown, it was worn by Alicia Hall Moran at, I think, the 2022 Juneteenth celebration at Lincoln Center. So again, just thinking about fashion being worn on the body. Alicia Hall Moran is a Black woman, and she's wearing this specific gown on Juneteenth in New York City. So it's just a representation of how we can, again, fashion the body, see how the body moves through space, and really recollect the memories of our past, and then make more memories in our present, all in the name of declaring ourselves as beings in the world that have meaning, right? And this is specifically through a Black woman's lens. The exhibition, we do have refreshments in T49 right down the hallway. Please go get free food because we have plenty and we want to get it all the way. And if you have any questions, I'll obviously be around, so will the women, and we're happy to engage with you all beyond this moment. But again, thank you, Dr. Green, oh my gosh, for everything. This is kind of the grand finale of the PhD, so thank you so much for supporting me throughout this whole process. Thanks to Catherine. This is my ride or die right here. She's amazing, everyone knows and loves her. Thank you so much for all the support again. And yeah, we'll be around. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it.